But it's a great way. It's a great way. You chop a good move.
I have to follow your footsteps.
You follow his boat. No. Step this side. Don't follow it. Now, so the rest are discussion issues. Let's look at them. So, question 2. In central government budgeting, expenditure projections are very important. Required. State 5 factors to be considered in government expenditure projections. So the examiner said 5 factors to be considered when the government is making what? Expenditure projections. I think Hubert, you wrote a couple of things there. What are the things he said?
The availability of revenue to meet projected expenditure.
Okay, so availability of revenue to meet the expected expenditure, huh?
The target group of the government.
Target group of the government.
And the objective of the government.
The objective of the government. Who else wrote something there? One trophy. So yeah, these are some of the points. Number 1, the objectives of the government. The objective of the government. So for instance, this government has a certain objective to industrialize the economy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because they want to industrialize the economy, they are undertaking one district, one factory. Okay? So that industrialization of the economy as government objective guides government in relation to how much money it intends to spend during the year. So when they are now making the expenditure projections, the objective of government guides him or guides her in relation to that decision. Then the target group, whose objective is prioritized by the government, or who in the whole country, or which group of people in the whole country that the government prioritizes. Number 1, this government is prioritizing individuals going to schools. That is why the free SHS policy is there. The government is prioritizing exportation of agricultural products. That is why the government has brought a lot of modules. They did planting for food and employment. Now they are doing planting for exportation. Okay, so all those things guide. So the target group, which people in the economy the government want to focus on. Then, how much money is available for us to spend during the accounting period and the discussion. It's something that we would have to also or the government also take into consideration. Then we have to also look at the long-term plan of the country, which Ghana hardly had one or has one. Okay, what is the long-term plan of the country? So recently someone was suggesting that Ghana must have a 20 years development plan, where every government that comes, you have to follow that plan. So in the long term, what is the objective of the government? One of the long-term objectives of government is poverty reduction. So when government is undertaking expenditure projections, all must lead to reducing poverty. That is why the government believes that if people are educated and they are able to gain employment, then the standard of living will increase and that will reduce the poverty rate. So that is also something we can consider, the long-term plan of the country. Then we can also look at specific events in the year. Specific events or activities to be undertaken in the year. Now when we say specific events to be undertaken in the year, what do we mean? Like an election year, meaning the government must spend some money or must budget some money for the electoral commission. Like this year, the electoral commission will be undertaking a lot of naming. Did I say naming? Registration. Okay, they will be doing some registration. Then also the Ghana, which institution is doing the Ghana card? National Identification Authority. So all those specific activities that are happening this year, the government will take them into consideration when they are doing expenditure projection. So these are the 5 things that we can talk about in relation to factors that government takes into consideration in making expenditure projection. Please make sure that when you're writing these points out, they are in sentence form. I think I've told you that, right? They should all be in a sentence form. So that is the idea about that. B. Subject to Article 179 of the Constitution, the President shall cause to be laid before Parliament at least 1 month before the end of the financial year estimate of revenue and expenditure of the government for the ensuing financial year. Required. Outline 5 major steps followed by the Ministry of Finance in the preparation and execution of the estimate of revenue and expenditure. Now, it is like the budgeting stage in the central government. So here, the examiner is asking you what 5 major steps the Ministry of Finance take when undertaking that thing, when doing estimation of revenue and expenditure. What are the 5 major steps they undertake? One of the things they do is to undertake what we call public survey, public expenditure survey. Now, what is public expenditure survey? This is a survey that is undertaken by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning before the beginning of the budgeting process to analyze or assess government expenditure and its effect on what? The economy. So, for instance, if the government wants to now start the preparation of budget for 2020, public expenditure survey is, they will reflect 2018, all the expenditure that the government has undertaken and is undertaking. What is the impact of those expenditure on the economy? Because that will now guide the government on what they have to spend their money on. So that is one of the major things that they do. Another thing they do is also to set budget ceilings for the MDAs and MMDAs. Now, this budget ceilings is set based on the objective of the cabinet or the executive arm of government. That's the president and the cabinet, the council of states, whatever, those guys. So, budget ceilings means that, okay, Ministry of Education, the maximum money you can receive next year is $20 million. Okay, Ministry of Trade and Industry, the maximum money you can receive is, say, $10 million. That is what refers to as what? Budget ceiling. Why is this budget ceiling important? Because this will now guide the MDAs and MMDAs in the preparation of what? Their budgets. The preparation of their budgets. Another major thing that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning does is to collate all budgets from the MDAs and what? MMDAs. Collate all the budgets of the MDAs and MMDAs. So we set the ceiling, you prepare the budget, you come and defend the budget. At the end of the day, if it is approved, we need to collate all into what we refer to as what? The national budget. The national budget. Then, another thing that is done is that the collated budget must be sent back to the president for what? Approval. Review and approval. Review and approval of the national budget by the president. Because as I always say, when the Minister of Finance stands in Parliament or stands before Parliament and reads the budget, he is not reading his budget. He is reading the budget of the president. So he is there representing the president. Hence, after the coalition, the president with the executive arm will have to what? Review the national budget and then what? Approve it. After they approve it, a date must be set. Then on that date, the Minister of Finance is responsible to present what? The budget before Parliament. Now there are a lot of things that he does, but the examiner said we should just talk about 5 major. Okay? We should just talk about 5 major. That is why we can just pick or choose. Who answered this question? Hubert, you answered that?
No.
You didn't answer this. Okay, so it's just like the procedure of preparation of budget. So you bring in the 5 major ones that you can talk about. Any questions? Does it make sense? Okay, next one. C. The consolidated fund is divided into 4 main classifications. namely, above the line account, below the line account, general reserves, balance, and reserves. Required. Give 5 reasons for this classification. I think almost everybody answered this question, but your answers were just funny for me. Somebody said, so that the government will. Who said so that the government will? It will aid. Somebody was using the word aid. Aid. Who was that? Who was using the word aid? Aid. Oi. Wamba. 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 Jamal are using it. Who was using aid? Aid. What kind of bread?
I used help. It's help. I used help. I didn't use it.
Help me.
This helps. Then it will be Hubert.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, the online people.
Hey, online.
There is you.
I didn't use this man. There's no aid.
Hey, online photo.
Ah.
I used help. This is it.
Okay,
you use help.
Then somebody used aid somewhere.
The online people.
Maybe it's not this question, but somebody used aid somewhere. It will be you now. Okay, so let's go. 5 reasons for this classification. Ah, Hubert, so why didn't you answer this question? Is that? You skipped it. Wow. That means you didn't review your work.
You will come back.
You are lucky that you got pass mark, but still it's not good. So make sure that you review your work, because you could have answered all these questions here. How can you skip a 120 man question? You got to be careful about that. Okay, so major reasons for this classification. 1, the reason why government classified the consolidated fund is that when it does that, the government is able to determine its financial position at any point in time, right? So it helps government to determine its financial position at any point in time. That's one of the things we can say. Another thing is that it also helps government to identify the major sources of revenue as well as the major expenditure items. Tells the government to identify the major sources of revenue as well as the major expenditure items. Another point is that, I hope I'm not going fast. Another point is that it helps the government in making borrowing decisions. It helps the government in making borrowing decisions. So that when the government knows all its sources of revenue and realizes that the revenues are less than the expenditure, he can decide to go and what? Borrow. Borrowing decisions. Then also, it helps the government in planning the economy. It helps the government in planning the economy as to what projects to undertake, what activities to undertake, what policies to pursue. How many points do we have so far? 4. We're supposed to write 5. I have those points in my book, right? So you can just look into the book and add some to it. So these are some points I can recall often. Number 2, still at number 2D. Privatization is part of a commercial structural adjustment and redefining the role of the state enterprises with the aim process of achieving some policy objectives. State 5 policy objectives that influence a government to privatize state enterprises. So policy objectives that influence government to prioritize state enterprises. People were writing a lot of things there. Policy objectives. What do we say? What are the points some of you said? Mention. More much and more card. Some much maybe more kind.
To boost investor confidence.
To boost.
Investor confidence.
Okay, that is a reason for privatization. Are you getting it? It's a reason for privatization. Even though it can be a policy objective, it's not in a good point. It's not in a good point. What else did you say?
You have to
To create more employment.
achieve the running thing.
So that is employment is what? Policy objective. So increase employment is a policy objective that can lead the government to undertake that. Now how, I think somebody wrote that point. You?
Yeah,
Employment.
To create more employment.
To create more employment. So that is a policy objective. So we are supposed to state, and so as I say, you put it in a sentence form. You get the idea. What else?
To raise revenue for the government.
Right? So to serve as a source of what? Revenue for the government. Okay. What else?
To serve as a means of attracting foreign investors.
Right? So a means of attracting foreign investors. Yes, it's a policy objective so that now the economy is what? Open. Foreign investors can come in because they know they can partner with the government or they can overtake what? Some government institutions. What else? They say 5, right? You're trying.
Provide jobs for
Say you can employment and something like that.
So what about ensure effective and efficient use of resources?
Yeah, that point you mentioned, I didn't understand it well. Can you clarify it? Now you have the time. Can you clarify? When you say effect, then you have to put this points like you have to put it like this. Maybe to increase the efficiency or effectiveness of what? State enterprises. Are you getting the idea? Because you know if they are in government hands like that, effectiveness is not there. Because when we improve efficiency and effectiveness, then we are avoiding wastage of what? Resources. So that is a point, or that's something that we could say right there. So these are some things we can mention. Then we come to next item, question 3. Explain the stages of preparation of budgets in the central government and then in the local government. Now, this one is a tall list. Since you all have my book, I'll just make reference to where it is in the book, okay? Then you go through it. It's a tall list. That's in module 10, page. Okay, you go to module 10, then you scroll down. I am just reading each module, but the book is together. So module 10, because module 10 is on budgeting. So it's in module 10. So in module 10, you scroll down to budgeting in the central government, and you see that there. It's a tall list. Part of it is the question we answered about the major things that the Minister of Finance does in budget preparation. It's part of that thing. But I have a tall list. I think there are how many items? 11 or so. No, 15. There are 15 stages they go through in the central government. But in the local government, I can quickly give you that. In the local government, this is how budgeting is prepared. Each metropolitan municipal district assembly prepares their budgets. Then the budgets are sent to what?
So that one to in there.
Yeah, that one too is in the book, but I'm just discussing it with you. So each metropolitan municipal district assembly prepare their budgets, and when they prepare their budget, they send it to what? The regional coordinating what? Council, RCC. Now, the regional coordinating council, after receiving that, will collate it into what refers to that the regional district assembly common fund what? Budget. So you prepare your budget, We bring it to RCC. RCC collate it. After RCC collate it, the RCC now sends it to the Ministry of Finance in what? Economic Planning. So now every region has, every district have it. They send it to every region. Every region has its budget. Then they now send it to what? The Ministry of Finance. Now the Ministry of Finance puts all the regions together, and that gives us what? The national budget. I hope you are getting it. Then he adds the MDAs, the ministries, the departments and agencies, to the regional ones that has been received. Then he prepares the national budget. So that one also, it's in the book that you can go through. State and explain 4 reasons why it is important to classify the accounts of governments. This was the question you were saying, that it is the same as classification of the consolidated fund. It's not the same thing. Classification of the consolidated fund is different from classification of the accounts of governments. Now, when we say classification of the accounts of government, now when we say the accounts of government, what do we mean? Why would the government prepare an income statement? Why would the government prepare a balance sheet? Why would the government prepare a cash flow statement? These are classification of accounts. Why would the government have personal emoluments? Why would the government have public interest? Why would the public debt interest? Why would the government have goods and services or administration? These are classification of accounts. So what are the reasons why government classifies his accounts? One will say yes, almost calculation questions. You saw that the examiner said we should classify the expenditure based on the government's classification of accounts. I don't know if you remember that statement. That classification is what we're talking about here. So it is different from, I think you said that thing and you mentioned that statement. Even though the answers are a bit similar, there's a thin line between them. So why would government do this classification? Why do we need to know total personal emoluments? Why do we need to know total public interest? Why do we need to know total social benefits? Why do we need to know total investment costs? Why do we need to know total tax revenue? Why? Why? Let's go. Why?
Government is able to know which area contributes. Like, it's able to identify the areas that
Chi more of him. People are now writing chi and mixing with English. So one, it helps the government to identify expenditure items that require more government revenue. Expenditure item that require more government revenue. So if we look at personal emoluments and realize that Charlie Sike Kohopa, we look at social benefits, Sike Kohopa, that's the idea. It helps government to know. Another thing also is that it helps government in budgeting processes. I think somebody wrote that point. Somebody wrote that point. In budgeting processes. So when we are budgeting, we are able to, because the accounts has been classified, we know how much we will spend in what? Each expenditure item. What other points can we say? Yes, certainly it helps the government to determine what? Its financial performance and financial position for a given period of time. Helps the government to determine its financial performance and financial position for a given period of time. How many points? 3. Let's add more. Let's add 2 more. Let's add 2 more. So we said for budgeting, determining the expenditure items, for determining the position of the government. Did I say anything about economic planning? Right. So helps the government in economic planning decisions. That's different from budgeting. Economic planning it's broader than budgeting. So it helps government in making those decisions, economic planning decisions. Economic planning has to do with, okay, in the long term, what do we want to do? Okay, what goals do we want to achieve? What policies must we undertake? I think just recently, yesterday I guess, the Exim Bank of Ghana and the Exim Bank in UK have signed a joint memorandum of understanding with the government of Ghana to release, I think, $300 million as a facility to finance companies, SMEs that will export goods from US so that they will use it to produce goods locally. You know, we import a lot of resources from outside. So you are using it locally, but you're going to import. So this is a loan facility that they will be giving over a period. No, but this debt is not going straight to the government. It's going straight to the companies that are operating under the 1D1F. So you know the one. No, you know the 1D1F is a PPE arrangement. So certainly it's not entirely the debt of government. Are you getting it?
Government will absorb majority.
Oh, certainly. Not really majority, but it depends. So sometimes it depends.
You know, recently, today the news said SEC has revoked some licenses of fund managers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 5 stations.
Gold Coast Securities Park.
Is it equity?
Oh, okay.
They are 5.
Why? What's the basis?
They didn't give
The basis for their revoke. It's one of those things. Okay, so 4. So the last point we can say, okay, so what point did we say? Oh, I was say 4. Yeah, you're going. C. Identify 5 methods used by government to control public expenditure. Okay. Ena Hannah, someone listed to Omami. Without explanation. Hubert, what did you do there? Okay, did you explain them? Okay, so you did an explanation a little. Yeah. You just listed. That's disastrous. At least if it's in a sentence form, it's okay. Are you getting the idea? What did you do? Identify into what listing? Warrant. What is warrant?
I could have explained better, but
No, at this level, when you are writing an answer, the answer cannot be a point. It has to be in a sentence form, professional presentation. Are you getting the idea? When we were in KG2 that we were doing that thing. But this is professional, so we can't do that thing. Are you getting the concept? So first, freezing of what? Votes. So you have rights to the money, but you won't get it. What else? Issue of what? Warrants. Please, I said write them in a point form. If you don't write them in a sentence, write them in a sentence form. So I won't draw a sentence form there. And I won't draw points now explaining kakra to say they are Hubert here. Even though it says identify, you don't list them down. It should be in a sentence form at most. Then, issue of warrant, what else? Across the board. What else? Quarterly limits. And sometimes I wrote a point in your book. Special directives. Special directives. So sometimes the government can give some directives specific to a specific vote, specific to a specific industry, specific ministry, and the government can say, these people, don't give them money. Are you getting the idea? They have rights to the money, but we don't want to give them for a reason. So that's special directive. So these are the 5 methods government used to control public expenditure. List 4 responsibilities of a spending officer. Yes? Responsibility of a spending officer. What does he do? A lot of them. Now I'll be sending you solutions as well, okay? I'll be sending you solutions as well so that you read it. But the discussion is very important. I think some people wrote a couple of points. Who answered this question? One duo. You answered, right? Somebody wrote accounting, whatever, accounting systems, whatever, something like that. Who wrote that point? And I am one.
Online.
Yeah, I wrote the question.
That's all. Online people, they have access.
Yes, they are right to say so.
And they want to be able to
No, trouble. That's how we are one on this review. We are one on this. So some of the roles that they play includes the following. 1. Manage and operate the MDA's or MMDA's accounting system. Manage and operate the MDA's or MMDA's accounting system. Number 2, secure the daily and proper collection of government revenue collectible by the spending unit. Secure the efficiency and secure the daily and proper collection of government revenue collectible by the spending unit. If we are a revenue collecting agency, the spending officer must make sure what? The spending officer must make sure those monies are collected well. Next one, manage and reconcile the bank account authorized for the spending unit by the Controller Accountant General. Manage and reconcile the bank account authorized for the department by the Controller and Accountant General. How many points do we have now? 9? 3. Let's go. Secure the efficient and effective use of appropriation under departmental control. Secure the efficient and effective use of appropriations under departmental controls. Secure the efficient and effective use of appropriation under departmental control within the ambient of government policy. Within the ambience of government policy. Within the ambience of government policy. Okay, so these are some points that we can mention. There are other ones. He also prepared monthly accounts in the form prescribed by the Controller Accountant General, and also the final account of the spending unit. Are you getting it? That's also something he does. He prepares monthly accounts and the final accounts of the spending unit as prescribed by the Controller and Accountant General in consultation with the Auditor General. As prescribed by the Controller and Accountant General in consultation with the Auditor General. Then the last point, giveaway of that, appear before PAC to make such explanations as required by the committee. I hope you know PAC, Public Accounts Committee. So they have a responsibility to appear before Public Accounts Committee to make such explanations as required by the committee in respect of their annual reports. In respect of their annual reports. So these are some of the points we can raise for that. Question 4. We are rounding down quickly. The annual estimate is prepared in accordance with the budget circular received from the Minister of Finance, setting out the policy to be followed and the dates for its submission required. State and explain any 5 important budgetary policy objectives of government which the preparation of the annual estimate helps to achieve. So what is the examiner asking us here? Who answered that question? Samuel and Newbert. You answered? Did you answer? What did you write?
I wrote objective policy objective of government includes planning, forecasting, and response.
Oh, okay. Okay. These are not budgetary policies. These are more or less like importance of budgeting, right? Or uses of budgeting. Rather, uses of budgeting. What did you write, Samuel?
It helps to achieve the value for money.
Achieve value for money. No. So these are some budgetary policy objectives that one. Okay, so it says state and explain any 5 important budgetary policy objectives of which the preparation of the annual estimates helps to achieve. 1. Estimate of revenue and expenditure. Estimate of revenue and expenditure. In the preparation of budgets, this is the first thing we want to achieve. How much revenue the government wants and how much the expenditure the government wants to undertake. So certainly it is something that the government wants to achieve there. Number 2, fiscal and monetary policies. So certainly it is something that the government wants. This is the first thing we want to achieve. How much revenue the government wants and how much the expenditure the government wants to undertake. So certainly it is something that the government wants to achieve there. Number 2, fiscal and monetary policies. Fiscal and monetary policies. Now, fiscal policies has to do with what? How government raises revenue and how it spends what? The money. Now, government raises revenue from taxes and also from what? Borrowing. So during budgeting, government can determine what? Its tax revenue, how much loan it has to go for, and then how much it wants to what? Spend. So that is the second policy objective that budgeting seeks to achieve. Fiscal policies, monetary and fiscal. Now, monetary policy has to do with the supply of what? Money in the economy. If the government doesn't want more money in the economy, it will charge tax so that people's disposable income will reduce. Then they won't be able to spend more. But if the government wants more money to be in the economy, it will cut tax so that people will have what? More money in their pockets. Or also, he will not cut tax, but he will decide not to take any what? Expenditure. Because when government undertakes expenditure, he pumps money into the economy. This is economics. Those of you who didn't do it, you are seeing stats. 3. Sectoral distribution. Sectoral distribution. Through budgeting, one of the policies that government wants to achieve is what? How the resources are allocated through what? Each sector. Like as I was mentioning, Ministry of Trade and Industry, 1B, 1F, so they are getting more money. Minister of Education, they are getting more money because free SHS. Then Ministry of, I think, Rural Development, like it's separated, Zongo Development, like those people, they are also getting some money. So central or sectoral distribution is also something. Next one, public debts and investments. Public debts and investments. Through budgeting, government is able to decide, like what I mentioned here, borrowing. How much money it's willing to what? Borrow, and then what investment they are likely to what? Undertake. Investment goes into what we call the 1D, 1F. It's an investment. Are you getting the idea? That is also an objective that the government intends to achieve. Then, allocation of resources, or if you want, funds. Allocation of resources or funds. Now, you will be tempted to say, is this not the same as this? This is about sector. When we say sector, we mean what? The agri sector, the education sector. But when we now say allocation of resources, we are talking about what? To the metropolitan municipal district assemblies, to the ministries, departments, and what? Agencies. So we are going through the spending unit. So the points are different. So this government is focusing on education and agric, and sometimes the business sector or industrialization, something like that. More money is going into those areas. That is sectoral distribution. Then we come to the allocation of funds to the spending units. What ministries, department, agencies are getting, and what metropolitan municipal district assemblies are also getting. So that is the thing about that. Next one. Briefly explain two roles each of the following institutions in public financial management. I, cabinet. What is the role of cabinet? What's the role of cabinet? Yes, so they make decisions on government policies. And what else?
They advise. They offer advice with services to government.
Advice.
In terms of the policy that the government wants to do.
Yes, so yes, one, they make policy decisions for the entire economy. Then they also what? Advise the president, right? It depends on the structure. This government, especially, the structure has changed a little bit with a senior minister in place and with the economic management team, because the economic management team is also part of cabinet now. So
the senior minister is not always. I think there is something like chairman of the economy.
yes, he is part of the economic team. And he's also the senior minister, he's part of the executive arm of government, right? So, like, he's there. So yes, they make policy decisions as well as what? Advise what? Government in relation to the various decisions that can be made. That is why they will advise government, let's go for century bond. Let's go for exempt bank. Let's go and borrow in China. Let's use hydrophobic. What is that deal called? The deal that they are using to construct some roads, Sino Hydro, something like that, right? So, okay, let's use our diamonds to, is it diamond or what? What are they using, diamond? Let's use our diamond for the loan facility, so that they come and mine the diamond, take it away, we take a percentage, we still get our money. I don't know how that deal works. So that is their role. Sino Hydro, I think something like that, Sino Hydro. Put there. 2. Public Accounts Committee, what do they do? What do they do? 2 things major. 1, they examine what? The audited financial statement and the auditor's report on the public accounts. That's the first thing they do. Then number 2, they summon heads of the spending units to give any explanation when found of what? Financial irregularity. Are we getting the idea? So first, they examine the national accounts or the public accounts, and 2, they summon anyone who is supposed to be there. Heads of MDAs and MMDAs, what do they do? Heads of MDAs and MMDAs, what do they do? Hubert, what did you write? Okay, so they manage what? The utilization of office resources and stores. Okay, what else? So we can say that they ensure effective and efficient management of state revenue, expenditure control and assets, is like the point Hubert mentioned. So they ensure the effective and efficient management of state revenue. Then, number 2, they prescribe the responsibilities of persons entrusted with the financial management of the MDAs. You know, he is the head, like the boss. So he will prescribe the responsibility of the people below him in relation to the spending officer, okay, or the accounts officer in relation to that. So he prescribes what you have to do at every point. So these are all that is there. C. State 2 factors government takes into consideration when borrowing. I think everybody got that. Okay, you didn't write that. So number 1, the cost of borrowing. Somebody said interest. It's the same thing. Okay, so the cost of the borrowing. How much interest are we paying on this loan we are going for? the government takes that into consideration. The term of the loan. How long is the loan going to be? Is it 5 years? Is it a century bond? Is it 20 years? Is it a 30 years? Government takes into consideration that. Then, cash forecast of government. Cash forecast in relation to how much money is available or how much money do we expect, so that when we take the loan today, that cash flow can be able to help us to what? Pay those loans. So 1, the cost of the borrowing, interest rates. 2, the terms of the borrowing, how long the loan is. And then 3, the cash flow forecast for the state. These are the things we take into consideration. They said 2 though, but I gave you 3. D, Parliament has failed in its duty to control government expenditure. Required, state 5 reasons that account for the failure of Parliament. I think Hubert mentioned a couple of things there. What are some of the reasons?
Political stance of parliamentarians.
That's it. Political stance of parliamentarians. Because they are supporting their political party, and then in Yakrana, yeah, normal. So that's it. Their political stance. Number 2. Yes, sometimes they lack the resources to operate efficiently. So some things that they are supposed to go through very well, they don't have the resources to get the time to go through. So that is also something that affects them. What else?
Lack of training and skills.
Lack of training and skill. Many of the parliamentarians don't have the financial knowledge to really understand about, or to really understand the issue about value for money, expenditure control. So that is also there. Then self-benefits from non-control. Self-benefit from non-control. So if they don't control the expenditure, then so because of that, we won't control anything. Are you getting the idea? So that's also something about that. Then some ministers doubling as parliamentarians. So we have minister of whatever. He's also the member of parliament for whatever. He's also the chairman for whatever. So they have double roles, and that affects their efficiency and effectiveness. So these are some of the reasons why. How many points do we have for those of you writing? 5. Okay, so that's it. State 3 advantages and 2 disadvantages each of cash basis and accrual basis of public sector accounting. I hope you could do that. Advantages of cash basis: easy to understand, simple to do, right? It can easily be delegated. That's the one advantage also about cash basis. It's easy to understand, simple to do, can easily be delegated. Because for cash basis, every single average mental person who is in a good state of mind can do it. Disadvantage: someone said it doesn't take into consideration debtors and creditors. Who wrote that point? Says Bibia, is it they are saying that you guys you're not good. No, I think you guys wrote that point, and I have someone. You didn't write. Then someone wrote it.
I wrote it.
You wrote the thing, but you're saying the online students. So disadvantage is it doesn't take into consideration what debtors and creditors, and then 2, it doesn't really show the true state of what the true financial position of the entity. Okay, it doesn't show the true financial position of the entity. So that's a disadvantage we can talk about. For accrual basis, the advantage is that, so the disadvantages of cash flow, cash basis becomes what? The advantages of accrual basis. Are you getting the picture? Then debtors and creditors or accruals. Then it's also what? True financial position of the entity. Then, so that is it about that. That's it about it. Last one, then we go.
I don't know that. You give me it.
I gave you what?
I said I did the 2. I wrote it tells you the actual value of the pen. It takes into consideration
the value of the pen. So that was the wrong point there. PPP. Number 5. Briefly explain explain the concept of public-private partnership as used in the public sector. So I think everybody was able to do that. So what is PPP? I think everybody gave an explanation. Now, here it says explain the concept. So what is it about and what does it entail? So we said it is an arrangement where government partners with the private sector to undertake or build an infrastructure which would have solely been provided by the government. Somebody didn't bring that last aspect, which have been solely provided by the government. Kofi, you didn't bring that, right? So that statement is very important. Reasons for this partnership in government businesses. It increases public infrastructure, right? What else? What else? You wrote some points. Let's share those points you wrote.
To enable and encourage private sector.
Yes, it encourages private sector participation in the economy. There is rich sharing with the private sector by the government. Then through PPP arrangement also, a government is able to get, or it brings on board advanced technical and managerial expertise, okay, from the private sector. Technical and managerial expertise from the private sector. So that's also a point we can raise there. Write short notes on the following: fund accounting, vote accounting, commitment accounting. So what are the definitions for these things? I think I opened a slide on that. So vote accounting, fund accounting, commitment accounting. So what is vote accounting? Vote accounting is concerned with the receipt, custody, disbursement, and transfer of public and trust monies as required by law. That's the definition. Concerned with the receipt, custody, disbursement, and transfer of public fund and trust monies as required by law. That's vote accounting. Then fund accounting. Transfer of public and trust monies as required by law. Sounds good? Fund accounting. Fund accounting. A fund is an independent accounting entity which is accounted for separately using different sets of accounts. Which is accounted for separately using different sets of accounts. Somebody gave a nice definition for commitment accounting. That the government recognize the expenditure before it undertakes whatever.
Yeah.
Who did that? Okay. Hubert.
Oh, I did not do that.
But you are the one who challenges the online students. You and Kofi. Okay, so commitment accounting. So read your points there.
It's an accounting basis that recognize anticipated expenditure before they actually occur.
Okay. So we recognize anticipated expenditure before they actually okay. I think somebody also went, or it's still you, that when order is placed or whatever, we recognize. Who made that statement? You. Okay. So that's a builder.
It's me. It's them.
Oh, now you are lying. Are they our children?
When order is before order is at the time.
What's happening to me? I mean, before time, before order, you can say.
Before order is placed.